Every day I'm getting a lot of questions and inquiries about EB-5 visa. So I decided to make special episode about EB-5 visa. So we will discuss potential risk, we'll discuss all the requirements, and also I'll tell you about actually project which is already constructed and certified for EB-5 visa. And for this matter, I invited Irina, who is immigration attorney. Hi, Irina.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I am both an immigration attorney and a FINRA regulated professional, so investment broker. I specialize in the EB-5 investor visa. I worked as an attorney for 10 years, and for the last few years, I work as an investment broker, helping clients pick a project for this program.
Great. So let's talk about EB-5. Let's explain our subscribers what is EB-5 visa.
EB-5 is the American version of the Golden Visa. So it is a visa that allows foreign nationals to obtain permanent residency in the US when they invest at least $800,000 into a project that qualifies for this program.
And what are the requirements for EB-5 visa?
So the main requirement is investing a minimum investment amount, which is $800,000, or sometimes it's $1,050,000, depending on the location of the project. And the investment has to generate 10 new jobs for American workers.
And I'm getting a lot of questions from my clients, from subscribers and followers about EB-5 visa. So let's talk about actual case. I have a clients are husband and wife and they have a daughter who is older than 21. So tell me, Irina, would they be qualified for this visa, or they have to do two separate cases?
She would have to do a separate case. So children, investors' children and spouses are included, but children are included until the age of 21. The first application has to be submitted before the child turns 21. If the child is already older, they're considered a separate family, so she would have to make her own investment.
I know it's crucial to show the source of funds and where the money came from. So what is requirements for EB-5 visa?
The investor has to show a lawful source and a lawful transfer of the funds. But there are many different ways that investors can derive the funds. So their earnings, but funds can also be derived from a gift, from a relative or a parent. You can also use a loan. So you can take out a loan either from a private entity or a bank and use the loan proceeds to make the EB-5 investment.
So basically they can get a loan from their country. And yeah.
They can get a loan from any country, whether it's their country or here in the US. So funds actually don't have to come from abroad. And I've had many clients who either earned their money in the US and they were using that money to invest, or sometimes they have relatives in the US that earn that money and they are giving it to them as a loan or a gift to make an EB-5 investment.
A lot of attorneys and specialists, they don't like to recommend this type of visa, EB-5. Also, clients are confused what's better for them. Can you tell me what is the reason?
The majority of US immigration attorneys don't know how to file an EB-5 case. The way immigration law practice works is, in order to know how to file an EB-5 investor visa or extraordinary ability EB-1 visa or an asylum, you have to have another attorney who's going to teach you that. EB-5 historically been a very niche industry. Very few lawyers in the US know how to work with it. About 95% of all immigration attorneys, they're familiar with asylum or other type of cases, but they don't understand investments.
So basically, they don't have enough experience.
Zero experience. And when you don't have any experience in something, it's very hard for you to recommend it to your client.
I'm getting a lot of concerns from the clients who wants to apply for EB-5 visa. They're worried to lose their money and a lot more. Can you explain what's risk behind EB-5 visa?
So there are two main risks that we consider. Number one is the risk of the green card. The investor wants to pick the kind of a project that will get approved and will actually create the jobs. So that's the number one. And the second is the financial risk. All these projects are completely private. The government doesn't guarantee the return of the money. So every time we compare projects, we try to find something that has the least amount of risk. So a project where you have good security, your money is secured by the assets of real estate or the projects have to be real. They have to carry a real element of a business risk, but they do not need to be risky. And that is the main thing that I think is important for investors to understand. EB-5 investments don't have to be into risky projects. They have to have a healthy element of a business risk.
What would happen if the project would fail? Would a client or petitioner will lose the money?
So that's a great question. It depends. So many times when the project doesn't happen the way it was intended to, the investor can still get a green card and often can still get the return of all or partial of their money. So for example, if a project was a construction of a hotel, the hotel was built, but COVID happened, it's empty for 2 years. The construction process has created enough jobs, so the investor in that case will get the green card. And then for the money aspect, depending on the structure of the project, say if the developer invested a lot of their own equity and the EB-5 investors were in the second lien position, even if the hotel fails and is not successful, it can still be sold for part of the amount and it will repay the bank and the investors. And in that case, only the developer will lose money. However, obviously, if you build something for 100 million and you sell it for 20 million, the investors may lose all or part of their money.
And nowadays, a lot of people have cryptocurrency. Can they actually use crypto to invest in EB-5?
So the client would have to convert their crypto into funds before making the transfer into the project. However, crypto can be utilized as a source. Again, we would have to trace it. So it can't come from an anonymous trace. We have to show that the client used lawful money to buy crypto. If it grew in value, that's fine. They can sell it and they can invest.
Arina, do you have successful cases with EB-5 visa what already completed?
Absolutely. There are dozens of real projects that are fully completed that my investors have been a part of. Some of the more colorful ones, the new Ritz-Carlton in New York was completed with EB-5 financing, and those investors have already received approvals and their green cards, and the project is successfully operating, so they're on track for timely repayments.
What about family members? What are requirements?
So the one investor petition, one investment covers the investor, the spouse of the investor, and minor children under the age of 21. That also includes stepchildren. So if the investor has children from the spouse's prior marriage, they're also included, as long as the marriage was done prior to the child's 16th birthday. But yeah, it's pretty broad. The people that one petition does not include are brothers, sisters of the investor, and the parents.
Important question. How quickly the petitioner will get their citizenship?
So any person who receives their green card can get their citizenship in 5 years after they receive the green card. For EB-5 applicants, on average, right now, it takes them about 2 years to get the initial green card. So it's 2 plus 5, and then they can become citizens. And actually, the immigration now divided investors who invested in before 2022 and investors who invested after. The ones who invested before, they're still a little slow on the processing. The ones that invested after, they're reviewing them in 6 to 12 months. So I have an investor, for example, that filed their application in September 2023. They got the approval in October 2023, 1 month. That's not typical, but it's not typical, but that's one important thing to understand. Investors who invested before 2022 are being treated differently. It's slower for them. New investors are going much faster because they're going under the new rules. So, but I would still say expect a year to 2 years.
Let's quickly finalize what are the steps for EB-5 visa? What are the process?
Step number 1, hire an immigration attorney and a broker to help you pick a project. pick a project, invest. Then you file the initial petition, wait for approval. You get a green card in about a year or two. After you live in the US for 2 years on your green card, you have to go to step 3, which is to remove conditions just to show that the project was actually built. Once the conditions are removed, you have your permanent residence, which is step 4. And then step 5 is apply for citizenship.
And what about funds?
The funds are usually returned at around the 5-year mark under a contract.
Thank you so much, Irina, for your time. We covered everything. Thank you.
Of course, and thank you for having me.
Now let's talk about Nexo, which is certified with EB-5 visa, and the project building already started. And our secondary guest is Maria. She is Director of Sales at Nexo.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm Marilena Placencia. I am the sales director here for Nexo Residences located in North Miami Beach.
Maria, how many units has left for sale at Nexo?
That's actually an excellent question. So we started selling in April of 2022. So we're actually 2 years exactly since we've started selling. And we started off with 254 units and we're 80% sold now.
I would like to know about infrastructure. What's Nexo will bring to the table?
Sure, absolutely. So Nexo is a short-term friendly project. It's a residential building. So what's nice about that is that if the owner wants to live in the apartment one day, a week, a month, a year, they can. They don't need to ask for anyone's permission to do that. They own the unit. They have complete flexibility how they use it or how they rent it out. If they want to rent it, the only restriction is that it has to be 3 nights minimum. Okay, but other than that, they can do a weekly rental, a 2-week rental, a 3-month, a 1-year rental. There is no restriction. And again, they don't have to ask anyone's permission to do that. It's a beautiful building. It's a luxury building, all glass facade. Every room in every unit has access to a balcony. And then we have a secondary developer that is a little lesser known, but they are the ones that brought the EB-5 program because they have 13 years of experience working with EB-5. And in those 13 years, they've completed 2 buildings and they have been 100% successful with all of the EB-5 applicants in their building. So that's huge.
And quick question, Maria, are those units will be completely finished and furnished?
Finished and furnished.
Excellent.
Complete furniture project, including the rug, the lighting. Actually, the one thing that's not included are the sheets on the bed, which I think is
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but I think it's like so strange. Just like the sheets, really? Like that should be like the easiest part. But yeah, that's the one thing that's not included.
In my opinion, EB-5 visa is a great opportunity for investors, and Nexo is a great example. 80% is already sold. So if you have any questions, write in a comment or simply give me a call.